Sunan Abu Dawud number 67. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. I heard that the people asked Rasulullah, "Ya Rasulullah, that water brought for you came from the well of Buddha. It is a well in which dead dogs, menstrual clothes and excrement of people are thrown." Rasulullah replied, "Verily water is pure and is not defiled by anything." The hadith explains that the condition of well was always really bad and that the color of the water had changed. How could Prophet Muhammad said that water be pure when it was severely contaminated? Sunan an-Nasa'i explains that the Prophet used the water of the Buddha well to do wudu. No responsible parents would advise their children to clean up their bodies with such poisonous water, yet Muhammad claimed that he is the best example of mankind. The only explanation is that Muhammad was insane.
A couple of husband and wife came to meet Prophet Muhammad.
O Rasul Allah, I would like to ask you about my obligation to my husband.
What is your question?
Can I object my husband if he tries to approach me?
When your husband asks you to have intimacy with him, you should not refuse him at any time. No woman can fulfill her duty towards Allah until she fulfills her duty towards her husband. If he asks her for intimacy, even if she is on her camel's saddle, she should not refuse.
What if I refuse to do so?
If a husband calls his wife to his bed and she refuses and causes him to sleep in anger, then Allah will be displeased and he will send angels to curse her till morning.
Alhamdulillah, Allah understands what men's needs.
What about my needs?
Sahih Bukhari 4192. 8 Yukul Muslims stole Prophet Muhammad's camels. The Prophet ordered their feet and hands cut off and their eyes gouged out. After that they were left to die in Hara desert.
The Ukiyo men were killed for stealing the Prophet's camels, but the Prophet himself robbed the camels from the infidels. He stole thousands of camels from the Jews, Quraysh, Gadafan, Hawazin, and many others. If the penalty of stealing several camels is cutting out the hands and feet and gouging out the eyes, then what is the penalty for robbing, plundering thousands of camels? They said the Ukiyos were guilty of killing Yazid, but what about the Prophet who killed thousands of Jews and Arabs? What is the penalty for Prophet Muhammad for being a mass murderer? How come he could get away with robbing, plundering, killing, as long as he insisted that he did it in the name of Allah? Is Allah the God of those who plunder, robbing, stealing, destroying society? I wonder.
Asma bint Marwan was a poetess from Bani Awaz and she hated Prophet Muhammad for killing many of his critics. She wrote a poet to criticize her people for trusting a stranger, Prophet Muhammad. On hearing that, Prophet Muhammad was very angry.
Who will rid me of Marwan's daughter?
Umayr ibn Adi raised his hand.
I will do it, Rasulullah.
At night, Ibn Adi crept into the writer's home. He found Asma sleeping, surrounded by her young children. Her baby was suckling on her breast. Umayr removed the suckling baby. Then he plunged his sword into the poetess. Quran, Surah As-Safat, verse 6, 7. We have indeed decked the lower heaven with beauty in the stars, and for guard against all obstinate rebellious evil spirits. Like his Bedouin contemporaries, Prophet Muhammad believed that Allah put stars in heaven as lamps and decoration to make it looks beautiful. He believed that the evil spirits, or jinns, gathered in the first layer of heaven to eavesdrop to the conversation of the angels, so they should not strain their ears in the direction of the exalted assembly but be cast away from every side, repulsed, for they are under a perpetual penalty, except such as snatch away something by stealth, and they are pursued by a flaming fire, of piercing brightness. Prophet Muhammad believed that meteorites are missiles thrown by angels to deter jinns from eavesdropping. Can any reasonable person today accept this kind of balderdash? What ancient people called shooting stars are meteorites. Stars are suns thousands of light years away from us. Prophet Muhammad used Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, verse 36 to force Zainab to marry his adopted son, Zayd ibn Muhammad. One day, while visiting Zayd's house, Prophet Muhammad saw Zainab naked in her room and he fell in love with her. Zayd found out about it, and offered to divorce Zainab so his adopted father could marry his wife. The Prophet hid his real desire and advised Zayd to keep his marriage. In Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab verse 37, Allah reprimanded the Prophet for concealing his desire toward his daughter-in-law because he was afraid of people's reaction. This verse opened up a way for the Prophet to fulfill his desire toward Zainab, and that was exactly what happened next. Immediately after Zayd divorced Zainab, the Prophet approached Zainab while she was preparing to pray to Allah, and had an intimacy with her right on that very moment without the Islamic nikah requirements such as nikah contract, witness, wali, and mahar. In Quran, Surah Al-Fil, Allah did a favor for the Quraysh. He saved them from the people of the elephant from Ethiopia, who tried to tear down the Kaaba. Allah sent a flock of birds that casted stones of baked clay to the Ethiopian armies, and killed them all. There are several problems here. First, elephants in Africa, including Ethiopia, were never domesticated or used by humans. By never, I mean throughout history. True, elephants were and still are domesticated and used for labor in Southeast Asia, but never in Africa. Second, an elephant needs 65 liters of water a day. With an army of elephants, it meant the soldiers had to carry thousands of liters of water every day to go to Mecca. That's just impossible, and there was no water near Mecca and its surrounding. Hence, Surah Al-Fil is a myth. Aisha said that upon returning from the attack of Banu el-Mustalik, when the caravan was resting in a place, Aisha went away to pee. When Aisha returned, the caravan left her and she found the place empty. Fortunately, a Muslim soldier named Safwan bin Mu'addal arrived and took her to Medina. 4 people accused her of zina. Prophet Muhammad was wondering the same thing too. Why didn't her servant know Aisha was not in the howdah? Why was Safwan way far behind? Is it possible that Aisha didn't hear the movement of 700 army with many horses and camels? Or perhaps Aisha actually did some romantic rendezvous with Safwan. She might want to avenge the Prophet for taking a new wife Juwariya. Only the camel knew for sure. It was Hafsa's turn to sleep with Prophet Muhammad. But the Prophet was more interested in her slave, Maria Qibtiyya. To trick her into leaving the house, Prophet Muhammad told Hafsa,
"Your father wants to meet you in his house now."
After she left, the Prophet had a romance with Maria. Hafsa soon came home and found her husband in her bed with her maid. The Prophet made an oath to her,
"I made an oath to you that I would never touch Maria again."
but soon after that, he did it anyway.
Why did you do it again?
And the Prophet gave her
Quran, Surah At-Tarim verse 1, that Allah scolded me for prohibiting myself from sleeping with Maria although Allah has made it lawful to me, just because I wanted to please you Hafsa.
What about your oath?
Oh, Allah cancelled it in Quran, Surah At-Tarim verse 2. Allah has already ordained for you believers the way to absolve yourselves from your oaths.
It's nice if you have Allah in your back pocket to grant you wish whenever you need it. Zakir Naik, the biggest Khan in the modern Islamic world, claimed that the word Daha in Quran Surah An-Nazi'at, verse 30 means the earth shaped like an ostrich egg. First, the verse doesn't say anything about the ostrich, let alone its egg. The word Daha in that verse means spreading or flattening, in this case, the earth. Muhammad thought Allah spread or flattened the earth like a carpet under his tent. Second, does the earth look like an ostrich egg to you? The earth is oblate spheroid, while the ostrich egg is prolate spheroid. The earth bulges slightly at the equator, and pushes in slightly at the poles. Now, when we see pictures of Earth from space, this very small deformation isn't obvious. Is it possible this guy actually believes his own lie? or do they think we are just that dumb? Quran, Surah Al-Mu'minun, verse 12-14, explains how Allah creates human. Verily we created man from a product of wet earth, then placed him as a drop of seed in a safe lodging, then we fashioned the drop into a clot, then we fashioned the clot into a little lump, then we fashioned the little lump into bones, then clothed the bones with flesh, and then produced it another creation. However, the verses are incorrect and so much different than the scientifically accurate embryonic development. Fertilization, cell stages, blastocyst implantation, fetus, embryo. The development of cartilage or bone and muscles is happening at the same time. To save Allah's face, modern Muslims changed the translation of the word alaka to creature that cling and suck blood, like a leech. Unlike a leech, the embryo circulates and exchanges gases, nutrients and waste products with its mother. They conveniently ignore the embryo's yolk sac, which gradually becomes incorporated into the fetus developing gut. The translation of leech only appeared in the modern age after the discoveries of embryology. Prophet Muhammad asked me at sunset,
Do you know where the sun goes at the time of sunset?
Allah and his apostle know better.
It goes and travels until it prostrates itself underneath Allah's throne. He asks permission to rise again. Allah permitted him to rise again in the east. But there will be time when the sun is about to prostrate, but Allah will not accept its prostration. The sun will ask permission to go on its course, but Allah will not give permission. Instead, Allah ordered the sun to return to the place it has come, so the sun will rise in the west. That means the Qiyamah is very near, and that is the interpretation of Quran, Surah Yasin, verse 38. And the sun runs his course for a period determined for him. That is the decree of him, the exalted in might, the all-knowing.
Now I know where the sun goes at the time of sunset.
Allah declares that nothing can change His divine words. He clarifies this in Quran, Surah Al-Hijr, verse 9. We have, without doubt, sent down the message, and we will assuredly guard it from corruption. Also in Quran, Surah Al-An'am, verse 34, there is none that can alter the words of Allah.
However, in Hadith Sunan ibn Majah 1934, Aisha said, We have sent down verses regarding stoning, and the verses of suckling an adult 10 times. The verses were under my mattress. When the Prophet died we were busy with bodies, until the birds came in and ate them. According to Musnad Ahmad 25112, termites ate the verses, while Sunan ibn Majah 1944 said a goat ate them. The stoning and suckling an adult verses are long gone. Who turned out to be able to erase Allah's words?
If Prophet Muhammad did go to heaven riding Barak, then, of course, he could see that the earth was round.
Astagfirullah. It turns out that the earth is round, spherical, like a ball. Wow, I really didn't expect this.
Surely this is what he would immediately do.
I had to replace many Quran verses that said the earth was flat like a spread carpet. Abdullah my scribe, where are you?
Yeah, Rasulullah.
Edit Quran, Surah Al-Hijr verse 19. Replace the words, the earth we have spread out, into, we made the earth round. Also Quran, Surah Taha, verse 53. He who has made for you the earth like a carpet spread out. Change it to, the earth is round, like a ball. Also Surah Kaf verse 7, also, Surah An-Naba, verse 6, and Surah Nuh.
But until he died, those Quran verses still stated the earth was flat like a spread-out carpet or bed. This means that the Prophet Muhammad never went into space and that Isra Miraj was just a lie.
At the wedding celebration with his ex-daughter-in-law, Zainab, Prophet Muhammad invited many guests to his house. After it was late at night, the guests had not yet left his house. He left the room, and most of the guests then went home. However, there were 3 guests who still stayed. The Prophet was very annoyed because he wanted to have a private time with Zainab. The 3 guests felt the Prophet's irritation so they left. The Prophet then declared the verse to expel guests. Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, verse 53. O believers! Do not enter the homes of the Prophet without permission for a meal, do not linger until the meal is ready. But if you are invited, then enter. Once you have eaten, then go on your way, and do not stay for casual talk. Such behavior is truly annoying to the Prophet, yet he is too shy to ask you to leave. But Allah is never shy of the truth. So in this verse, the Prophet said that he was too embarrassed to drive out guests, so Allah intervened to do it. Is this verse truly the word of God, or only the Prophet's, who eagerly wanted to enjoy his new wife?